This Friday, that means we're going to be talking NFL. That means we're going to be talking college football, by the way. There's some people that have been running their mouth about me. I'll address that too. But not before I address my friend, Tim Tebow, who actually was kind enough after trying to beat me up the last 2 weeks to wish me a happy birthday. I must say, I was touched, my brother. I was touched.
Always, Stephen A. You know, we can have our little banters, have a little fun, but it's all love.
All right. I just want to make sure of that, because that ain't the way I've been feeling you over the last couple of weeks. I just wanted to make sure of that. First takes in the house. Let's go.
The Buccaneers strike first. Throws a ball. Antonio Brown. Touchdown, Tampa Bay.
They are being overmatched by the Bucs defense.
Easy pickings for Leonard Fournette. His second touchdown of the game.
He rolls, he dives, he scores, and it becomes a one-score game.
You get a first down here, you can pretty much run the clock out.
Tom Brady gets the first down. And this game is in the books.
Good day, First Take on a Feel Good Friday. So you know that means the one and only Tim Tebow. Good morning, Tim.
Morning, Molly. How are you doing?
I am excellent. It is great to see you, sir, getting us set as we head into an exciting football weekend. Stephen A. Smith, of course.
So in other
how
words,
was the birthday?
The birthday was lovely. Thank y'all for the birthday wishes. I just want to figure out how is it that Stephen A. Smith is here, but when it's Tim Tebow, it's the one and only Tim Tebow. I mean, what's up with that, Molly? It's the one and only Tim Tebow, but it's just Stephen A. Smith here. Okay, all right. I see how this is going already, but it's all right.
You know what? This is First Take, and I can't win, but I accept it.
Ryan
but you also never lose, Molly. You also never lose.
That's what I'm saying. She never loses. Never loses.
There we go.
That's something.
There we go. There's enough love for everybody. All right. TB12, guys. You know what it is. In action last night, Tampa Bay, with a decimated secondary, traveled north to your old stomping ground, Stephen A. Philly, who gave them a fight for sure. The Bucs survived a late Eagles comeback attempt, capping off a dominant performance, which Teflon Tom completed 81% of his passes. What bad thumb. En route to a 28-22 win, Brady had 2 touchdown passes, and Leonard Fournette added 2 more as Tampa solidifies its first place position in the NFC South. Here's the go.
It's tough to win on the road, and obviously we didn't play our best, so we got to get back to work. We got a good little break here, use it, and then get back to work, see if we can get better.
Tim, you are up first. Are the Bucs the best team in football?
Yes. I think when you look at them from top to bottom, they have very few weaknesses. Right now, there's one weakness you could look at, and that's because of injury, not because of talent. That would be their secondary. Where else are you going to find a weakness on this team? Even other really good teams, possibly great teams, there are weaknesses. But this Bucs team, there are no weaknesses. There's playmakers. They know how to win the big games. They have a great pass rush. They can run the football. Leonard Fournette is playing the best of his entire career. And then the playmakers outside. It is a joke. Mike Evans, Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown looks better than he has in the last few years. I mean, he's not really getting covered. And then when you talk about their tight ends, they have 3 versatile tight ends. O.J. Howard now being healthy. I mean, it's a joke. The weapons they have, I think you have to look at them as the best team in football.
I don't agree with you, Tim Tebow. I mean, listen, we're starting off the show on the right foot because I completely disagree with you. I don't think we have to do that at all because of the very reason you brought up. You brought up their secondary. Last time I checked, that's a big issue, particularly when you look at the NFC. You look at Green Bay. You look at Dallas. You look at Los Angeles. You look at the Arizona Cardinals. And if you've got your secondary compromised in any way, it can cost you, particularly when you're trying to repeat as champions. Now let's look at the Arizona Cardinals, because as far as I'm concerned, that is the reason I don't think it's fair, because I'm looking at the Arizona Cardinals right now as the best team, definitely in the NFC, arguably in the National Football League. I got a quarterback in Kyler Murray that's completed 75% of his passes. He's a miniature dynamo. If it was not for Lamar Jackson, we'd be talking about him being arguably the best playmaker in the game because of his ability to move his feet and run that football. Then you've got Chase Edmonds and you got James Conner. That's more than serviceable in terms of your backfield and what you've got coming out of there. And then we get to the wideouts here. We're looking at a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, who's arguably the best wide receiver in football. We're looking at the resurrection of an A.J. Green. We're looking at a Christian Kirk. We're even looking at a Rondale Moore. And I'm looking at their weapons right now. And then I go to the defensive side of the ball, and I see them being able to get to the quarterback. They've got 12 sacks this year. I'm also looking at a top 8 ranked defense in the National Football League. Now, they struggle against the run. That is fair. They rank like 29th or whatever. But their yards against the pass, I'm talking about yards allowed. I'm talking about points allowed. The Arizona Cardinals, there's a reason that they stand alone as the undefeated team in the National Football League. They are unblemished. They've beaten Tennessee. They've beaten the Los Angeles Rams. They've beaten the San Francisco 49ers. I'm sorry. I'm going to roll with Arizona right now.
No, and those are a lot of really good points, Stephen, eh? This is a good Arizona Cardinals football team. But when you get to the playoffs, are you telling me that on a neutral field right now, you're going to take the Cardinals in a playoff game over all of these weapons, Bruce Arians, and most importantly, Tom Brady?
No.
I don't believe that you would say that.
No,
I don't believe you would say that.
And I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if you watch the show on Tuesday, the list is fluid. It's fluid, okay? There's fluidity here. It moves. What we're talking about is right now, presently as things stand. As things stand right now, with both teams playing the way that they're playing, I don't see how anybody can look at Arizona as being inferior to anybody in
Stephen A.
It's fluid.
We all know October, nobody will remember. To be honest, they're not even going to remember November. But at the end of the year, who's going to be the best team? And when you look at this Bucs team and you say, okay, there are weaknesses in the secondary, but when everybody's healthy, will that be a weakness? I don't think so. That's why, as a whole, this Bucs team, when healthy, is the best team in football. And I think leading into January and maybe February, I think they'll be the best team.
Well, see, my point is that we don't know about health. We saw Richard Sherman that you get straight off the couch. You're going to throw him in there over a week ago or so. Of course, he was going to come down with a hamstring injury last night, which is kind of sad. I'm wishing him nothing but the best. But then you've got Bunting and others who have been injured. We don't know when they'll come back. We don't know how healthy they are once they come back. And we also know that there's never been a reason to question Tampa Bay's offense. And let's also talk about Antonio Brown, that stud that he is. You know, he's being treated like he's some third receiver. This is a guy that had issues off the field. On the field, he has always been considered elite. And so when you look at him right now, as great as Mike Evans is and Chris Godwin is, they were never Antonio Brown. So while you've got defenses treating him like he's some third option is beyond me. Well, but ultimately, as the season progresses, and you're going to get better competition.
Are you making my point, though?
Exactly.
Antonio Brown is your third receiver.
Swayed you completely. You want to say the Tampa Bay Bucs. You can change your mind.
Remember.
It's fine. Stephen A., it's not a big deal.
It's cool.
You can just come on, man. It's totally fine.
May I speak, ladies and gentlemen? May I speak?
Yes.
At the beginning of the season, let's be clear. I had Tampa Bay repeating. But then the season takes place. And based on what I'm witnessing, what I'm saying is I'm standing here right now and telling you that Arizona looks like a better team all around, balance-wise on both sides of the ball, than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, can that change in December? Sure it could. Okay. But when it changes, call me. Okay. Right now, the Arizona Cardinals are the better team.
But in a
hold
game,
on,
when it
Stephen A.
Most, you want
name drop. I got your number. I'm calling you right now, okay? Answer.
What's up?
Oh, my goodness.
That's right.
All right, let's move on here, guys. The Eagles' offense struggled in their loss to the Bucs on Thursday night, particularly in the first half. After marching down the field on a 75-yard touchdown drive on their opening possession, they punted on 4 of their final 5 drives of the half. The lone drive that didn't result in a punt was a Jalen Hurts interception. Hurts wasn't efficient, 12 of 26, 115 yards, 1 TD, and 1 pick. The Eagles put up 213 yards of total offense. Some of that blame has to be on the coach, Nick Sirianni, as well. Let's hear from the coach and the quarterback.
We were bad in the first half, and I put that on me first. There's no doubt our offense needs to get better and to give our team a chance to win.
I haven't executed well enough to win clearly, because the ball touches my hands every play, and I enjoy that, and I like that. I'm not doing enough right now to win. I'm not doing enough to start fast. I have to be better.
You know, Tim, obviously you played the quarterback position, so you know what it takes. But also, when we talk about the draft, we talk a lot about a guy's success is dependent on their situation. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, do you think Jalen Hurts can succeed on the Philadelphia Eagles?
I think he can succeed. Can they be a great offense? Can he be an elite signal caller? I don't know. I would have question marks with that. Can he succeed to win games, to possibly get them to a playoff berth? I think he has enough talent to do that. I don't think this is really a talent issue with Jalen. I think it's a little bit of consistency, and then I think he's too cautious. I think he has to let it rip. Even if you go back to Alabama, he was so successful. Only lost a couple of games in his entire career. But the one thing when you watched him, he was a little bit hesitant because he trusted his athleticism more than he trusted his eyes. And as a quarterback, you have to anticipate it, you have to see it, and you have to let it rip. And I saw multiple times last night him just hanging on to it just a little bit too long. And then, okay, if it's not there, okay, I can go make a play. Not always in the NFL. You saw some of the defensive ends that were just as fast as him last night. I think he has to anticipate more. He has to let it rip. And I'm not sure this late in his career if that's something that you can necessarily teach. That's what worries me the most about Jalen.
Which is exactly why I'm not sold on him. For some of the reasons that you just highlighted. Let's just call it what it is, okay? This dude is a tremendous, tremendous athlete. I think he's a winner. Put him in a close situation. He'll find a way to get it done. His athleticism is big time. His guts is big time. He's not scared. He might be a bit hesitant, as you said, but that's when it comes to throwing the football. He ain't hesitant to run with the football. He ain't hesitant to trying to make plays. He's hesitant when it comes with throwing the football. What's the problem? You're the quarterback. That's what the problem is. You can't be hesitant throwing the football. Your instinct first should be to throw and then to run. It's the opposite with him. And that's the problem with Jalen Hurts. And then we got to take into consideration what we're looking at when we look at the Philadelphia Eagles. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind y'all about something. Miles Sanders can run the football. He's not a scrub. This brother can play. Why in God's name is Sirianni not running the football more, and you got Philadelphia Eagles fans booing him because you're not calling more running plays for your offense? They absolutely get on him because they know that city knows their football. I would know. I worked there for 17 years. But then let's go to the wide receiver spot. You got this cat Quez Watkins. You got Devontae Smith. We know what a stud he was at Alabama last year, and we know how special he is as a talent. You've got dual tight ends in Goddard and Zach Ertz. Mm-hmm. They're both there. How many teams in the National Football League have that many weapons on the offensive side of the ball? So when we look at a guy like Jalen Hurts, and there are question marks about him, and it's not to say he's not a finished product, Tim. I know that the future is bright because I've seen him do enough on the NFL level where I think there's tremendous promise there, and he's going to be really, really good down the line. I just don't believe he's there yet. And when you're in the NFC East, all right, with the Washington football team and the New York Giants, and here you are struggling right now, completing 62% of your passes, okay, and really not throwing the football with the level of accuracy we would hope. The bottom line is this is the expectation of him coming into the National Football League. So there's no reason to be disappointed. It's just that I think he'll be fine, but he's not there yet. The jury's still out.
Stephen, I totally agree, but I also think this is on Nick Sirianni and their entire offensive coaching staff as well to be able to put him in a position where you aren't necessarily throwing it down the field quite as much, but you're being able to get out quick screens and spread it a little bit more horizontally. I agree. Get Miles Sanders the ball going early, but also let Jalen be someone that can be a disguise for the defense, right? If he's coming out threatening run, you should be able to open some stuff up with Miles Sanders. And so I would love to see – I loved their first game plan of the year against the Falcons. I mean, that game plan, the Falcons were playing so much man, post-high defense, and they were killing them, right? So a lot of teams have changed from that a little bit, and they're playing a little bit more hesitant, holding back on the sides, making it give reads. And last night, the Bucs were playing defensive end was crashing, linebackers coming around, totally took away the zone read. Give them some more options. You know, there's so many different options with the read options. Mm-hmm. Change it up a little bit so you give him more chances to be successful with his legs, which is going to give him confidence with his arm.
Absolutely. And 4 out of 5 of his starting offensive linemen were out. So obviously,
yeah, that's true.
That doesn't help.
Fair. That's fair.
In his defense as well.
Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen, let's transition here. So Odell Beckham Jr. has 9 catches and 124 yards on the season. No TDs, not even last week when the Browns put up 42. Here's Stephen A. on this subject yesterday. Take a listen.
He got to get the hell up out of Cleveland. I am making the accusation that it is intentional Why that brother hasn't been found, because I know you watch the tapes, Dan, and you know that brother's been open. And there ain't no excuses for him not to get the ball more than we've seen him get the ball over these last 3 games.
Okay. Before we start, I just want to say Odell has played in 73% of his games since he joined the NFL, so he's essentially missed 2 full seasons due to injury. Tim, I'll start with you. Is Baker sabotaging Odell Beckham's career?
I mean, those are some big accusations. To say that their relationship, whatever's going on, and honestly, I have no idea, but to say that Baker is sabotaging someone, I mean, unless we have just really good information, I think that's hard to say. You know, it's not something that I would believe. I think, you know, Baker's someone that I think he desperately wants to win. And I think that about, you know, Odell as well. Both of them are competitive guys, and could their tempers and egos get in the way a little bit of 2 guys that have always been very successful? Possibly, but it's hard for me to believe that Baker is deciding, hey, I'm going to go to somebody else that's not as good because I don't want this guy to catch more passes. That's hard to believe. But I do think with the touchdowns, a lot of people bring that up with Baker, and I guess now with Odell. But this is a team, when you get inside the 10, they're running it, and they're running it in most of the time. So I think you also got to understand the context of this offense is when you get into the red zone, most of the time they're scoring, but they're scoring with really, really good running backs and a really good offensive line. So I think that's something that we got to also take into context. But, man, those are some really big accusations against Baker. And every time I've been around him, he's been someone that's so competitive that he wants to win. And I don't think he would let ego get in the way of winning.
I respectfully disagree, but I emphasize the word respectfully because I understand exactly where you're coming from. Let me explain exactly what I mean when I say what I said. Baker Mayfield wants to win. I'm not questioning that at all. But in my years of covering sports, you do run across people, Tim, unfortunately, that want to win their way, not just win, period. And that's what I am saying. I'm not in any way implying that Baker Mayfield doesn't care about winning and, you know what, the hell with Odell Beckham Jr. I'm saying I'm watching a guy in Baker Mayfield that's completing nearly 67% of his passes. This Cleveland Browns team has taken a step forward with him as their quarterback. We have raved about his maturation. We have raved about his development. But somehow, some way, the lone question mark, or I shouldn't say the lone question mark, the most prevalent question mark about him is his relationship with with Odell Beckham Jr. Keyshawn Johnson was talking about it this morning on his radio show. It was like wait a minute here. He's open, and you're not even looking in his direction. You listen to people covering the Cleveland Browns, along with information emanating out of their camp, Tim, and folks are talking about how Odell Beckham Jr. is in practice and ain't getting balls thrown to him nearly as much as he should. The kind of things that you don't usually hear about when you have an elite talent at the wideout spot on the same squad as a quarterback, you're hearing with Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham Jr. And the question of that would be why. We know they got a big-time running game with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. We know when Jarvis Landry was there with Odell Beckham Jr., with Njoku and those boys, there were a lot of options to go to. But with Jarvis Landry having been out, with Odell Beckham Jr. back, healthy and ready to roll, and you're not finding him. And in a game where you score 42 points, you target this man 3 times. Excuse me, something is very, very fishy about that. That is not right. Something's wrong with that. When you score 42 points and you got a weapon like Odell Beckham Jr. and literally you're targeted 3 times and you get 2 receptions for 20 yards. And then you heard the sound from Odell Beckham Jr. I want the ball. I want the ball. I'm not getting the ball. Everybody's allowed to say 1 + 1 = 2. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, Steven, I totally agree with the thought of you have Odell Beckham, who is a special talent. You want to be able to get that guy the ball, right? So, let's just go to something that is more concrete. And that's what I would say to Baker, right? What I would say to Baker is, hey, listen, if y'all do have some argument, if you're butting heads, Baker, when you get to the playoffs, and you probably will, you might be able to have even success in the playoffs. But to win a Super Bowl, it will probably take a guy like Odell to be able to make a few plays. And I think about the Kansas City Chiefs a couple years ago. If you don't have Tyreek, you're probably going to be really good. But if you don't have Tyreek Hill against the 49ers in the Super Bowl, you probably don't win. Why? Because he's an elite game changer. The same way for the Browns. You'll probably be successful. But if you don't have that dude that on a 3rd and 10, on a 4th down in the red zone can somehow make a play because he is a physical freak, you probably won't win the Super Bowl. And ultimately, that's the goal. And so what I would say to Baker is, hey, man, I know you got swag. I know you got an ego. It's one of the things I like about him. I've liked since Oklahoma is that he had something that was that it factor about him. Hey, lower that for a minute. Boost up your teammate because ultimately it's going to be better for all of you, right? Go to him, whatever it takes. I don't care if you got to apologize. I don't care if you got to throw it to him when he's double covered. Get him involved because you're going to need him in December and January and maybe if it goes well in February. Humble yourself, dude, because ultimately when you do, everyone's going to be risen up. And that's what I would say to him is, dude, listen, it's for the betterment of the team. But if he does that and you can get the buy-in of Odell, I mean, this team has so much talent. I mean, maybe more than even the Bucs when you look at it from their defensive line, their receivers, their tight ends, their backs, all over the field. This is a great football team that has a chance of doing something really special, but it's not going to happen if 2 of your best players are butting heads. And so if I'm Baker, I say, hey, man, OBJ, you're our dude, right? I'm going to you this week. I'm going to get it to you. I want to be on the same page. I'm lifting you up.
Here we go.
Absolutely. Everyone eats, everyone wins. They got a tough one this weekend. Real quick, guys, one word. That's all we have time for. Stephen A., who's winning, Browns or Cardinals?
Cardinals.
Tim?
Browns.
Okay. First Take just getting started. Still to come on First Take, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens sit atop the AFC North. But Tim Tebow, not so impressed. What, Tim? He'll explain that shortly. Plus, Justin Fields and the Bears have turned things around. It seems Tim and Stephen A. on opposite ends of why that has been the case. Interesting debate ahead. Don't miss it. First Take rolls on. Lamar Jackson crushed Monday night, leading his Ravens back from a 19-point deficit, setting multiple NFL records, including completing 85% of his passes while throwing for over 400 yards. He put up 4 TDs, no interceptions, and a win over the Colts. That was in overtime. This week, tough AFC test in Baltimore when the LA Chargers come to town. Tim, you are up first, sir. How far can Lamar take the Ravens this year?
Tim?
Sorry, you said how far? So I think the Ravens are a very talented, very good team. And I think Lamar has a unique ability to be special, especially when he's down. I think he's got a unique it factor. But I think when you look at the whole of this season so far, you have a team that's 4-1 that could also pretty easily be 1-4. And so I look at that and say, well, on one hand, they're fantastic in the fourth quarter in the last few minutes of the game. But also you've had some really special breaks of the Chiefs fumbling, of the most insane field goal of all time, and then an incredible comeback. So you look at that as a positive, but you also have to say they put themselves in positions that are, you just can't count on winning that way all of the time. And so when I look at them, I say, hey, you know what, they got a special it factor, but there's still a question mark for me of, can this team dominate? Can they play every single week where they're not counting on those breaks? Because I just don't think you can be a team that can be a number 1 seed and think you're going to get these breaks every single week. So I think they're a good team. I think Lamar is crazy special. I love him. He's one of my favorite players to watch in the NFL. But I think they've also got a lot of breaks so far this season.
Well, listen, breaks come with it when you trying to go for a Super Bowl. Last time I checked, there's a few times the Super Bowl champions have been lucky en route to capturing the crown, Tim Tebow. I mean, you should know about it when you were playing in the SEC and you were going against Alabama, okay? I mean, these things happen. Sometimes luck goes your way. But I will tell you this, sir. Just like you said, they could easily be 1-4, whatever. I can make an argument, Tim Tebow, they could easily be 5-0. They could have won that Monday Night Football game in the season opener against Las Vegas.
Absolutely.
Okay, they could have won it, so they could easily be 5-0. Number 2, they have the most electrifying running back at the quarterback position that the NFL has ever seen, as far as I'm concerned. And I go back to, I mean, listen, man, I used to watch Fran Tarkenton scramble around for the Minnesota Vikings back in the day, okay? And we saw the Randall Cunninghams of the world come later and others. And now we see the Kyler Murrays and other folks. And Aaron Rodgers can even run a little bit with the football when he wants to. So can Patrick Mahomes and others. We ain't seen some dude like Lamar Jackson that's approaching his third consecutive 1,000-yard rushing season. And then when we look at their receivers, we look at a Hollywood Brown, we look at a Mark Andrews as your tight end, we look at Sammy Watkins, who you picked up. Bateman ain't even there right now. So I'm looking at the Baltimore Ravens. Do I have questions about their pass defense? Yes. They're one of the worst pass defenses in the National Football League. And they certainly give up a bunch of yards. They bend a lot, even though they don't always break. I get that. But when we ask the question, how far can Lamar take them? I think Lamar can force offenses to get a bit tight because he's so electrifying with what he does that pressurizes opposing offenses to do more than they may be capable of doing at a particular moment in time, and that could assist them folding too. I'm not picking them to win the Super Bowl. I'm not even picking them to get to the Super Bowl. But when we talk about can he carry the Ravens there, I think we all know he's capable of that, Tim Tebow.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. But how much are you going to put on him? Like, how tight of a back brace does he have to have? You know, like, I just think when you ask him to do so much, I think it's going to be hard. I think you have a chance of injury. I think you have a chance of it being even a longer season of getting worn down. I don't like putting it all on Lamar. I think he can handle it for a while, but then this is a very violent, tough league. Even though they're making it easier on quarterbacks and they're making it easier on tough hitters, and you know they're not getting blasted as much. But man, that's a lot to put on him when he's having to run and throw it that much. And you know, I think he's got to get help from the rest of his team. I think they have to run the ball without him better. I think their defense has to come up with more stops earlier in games, and that's where the question marks are for me, not on Lamar Jackson. And by the way, I would love sometime for you to really fill us in on Fran Tarkenton. And, you know, we watched the black and white, but maybe you can put it in color for us for the next generation.
Yeah, story time.
Hey, listen, that's right. I can do that because listen, I loved my steel curtain. Listen, I have to hold on to those days. Those were the days when the steel curtain existed, okay? Yeah. When they had a running back in Franco Harris and Swan and Stallworth as receivers and a defense led by me, Joe Green, and L.C. Greenwood. You damn right I'm going to remember those days because that's when the Steelers were a steel curtain, okay? That's what it was about. I got to hold on to that time, Tim. I got to hold on to it.
Tim, isn't it so hard to believe that, you know, he was alive then to witness that? Because he looks so young.
You know,
he looks so amazing.
Molly, it truly is incredible. It truly is incredible.
You know, I'm just saying.
I mean, he gets younger, better looking, richer every day.
I know she's, you know, I hope
we know he gets richer. We know he gets richer.
Oh, you're wanting to talk. Let me tell you something. Look at him in the sunshine again, and you don't even stop.
Georgia.
Do y'all see the tan on Molly? Somebody loving Hollywood. It ain't me.
I have to say, I am happy to be out here in California. I took one for the team.
That's right.
You know, to be here with you so we could be in studio together for First Take.
That tan is doing something. I'll tell you that much.
Hey, Stephen, do you think I could have your jacket so I can auction it off for charity? I think I could make a lot.
This guy's crazy. Let's go to break.
We're not going to break. No, we have another topic.
Okay, go ahead. Let's go.
All right. It's been 2 straight wins for the Bears as Justin Fields starts to turn the season around in Chicago. 2 straight games with completion percentage of 60% or higher, but the question remains, who deserves the credit for Fields' success? Mr. Tebow, you take this first, please.
I think absolutely Justin Fields deserves a lot of credit, but I also think Matt Nagy deserves some credit. And I remember, listen, I don't watch TV and watch a lot of what people say, but the few things that I heard, everyone was saying after the first few weeks, he's got to get fired, he's got to get fired now, he's got to get fired now. Mm-hmm. Well, they're 3-2, and their game plans the last few weeks have been a lot better. I thought they put Justin in some good situations. They didn't ask too much of him. Like, if we're going to criticize someone so much for when it doesn't go well, then on the other side, when it does, I think you have to get praise. And I think Matt Nagy deserves some praise. He hasn't asked too much of him. He's put him in some pretty good situations, and they're 3-2. And with their schedule, that's a pretty good place to be when you're playing a rookie quarterback, when you're figuring out a lot of different things offensively. I think he deserves some credit.
Oh, come on. Look, I'm not giving Matt Nagy that much credit. I'm going to tell you who I'm going to give the credit to. You know who I'm going to give the most, other than Justin Fields, because obviously being a rookie and going out there and doing that, I give him a lot of credit. You know who else I'm going to give credit to, Tim Tebow? I'm going to give credit to the schedule makers. That's what I'm going to give it to.
Oh.
First of all, you're going up against, listen, when the season started, what did I say, Molly? Don't put Justin Fields in there until you're going up against Detroit. And I understand that Campbell's got them playing hard, and I give the Detroit Lions a lot of credit. They've been playing really hard and competitive football. They've caught some bad breaks or whatever, but I really like the effort that I'm seeing from them and how hard they fought, and I think that Campbell deserves a lot of credit for how he's got those guys fighting. But nevertheless, they ain't there yet, okay? So you go against the Detroit Lions. And then, obviously, with everything that's happened with John Gruden, they showed up last weekend knowing that that was on their minds. Those guys were not focused and locked in on playing football with that big of a distraction hovering over their franchise, and John Gruden still coaching on the sidelines at that particular moment in time. I think that was a great assist to the Chicago Bears this past Sunday. I think if it wasn't for that, they probably would have beat the Chicago Bears, to be quite honest with you. And that's something not just me, but you got all of these NFL aficionados all over the place, Tim, talking about Raiders weren't themselves. Look at them. They clearly had this stuff on their mind. It was a huge distraction. They weren't there. And in a game of football, you got to be all in each and every Sunday to have a shot. You can't afford to take days off.
Maybe it was a distraction. Sorry, Molly. Maybe it was a distraction.
Go ahead. Tim.
Maybe it was a distraction, but then you also have to look at the rest of the leaders on the team and saying, hey, this is when they have to step up. This is a Derek Carr moment. This is all those guys that have to step up. But we were just talking about the Ravens. The Ravens should have lost to Detroit. They won it on one of the greatest field goals of all time. And they lost to the Raiders. So if you're going to give the Ravens that much credit, why do you not give the Bears that much credit? Right? When the Bears beat both of those teams, but the Ravens lost to one of them and should have lost to both of them.
Well, because
it doesn't add up.
But listen, what I'm saying to you, I get where you're coming from. My point to you is that it's all about timing. When you look at what transpired, first of all, you got a season opener. Season opener with limited preseason action, limited practice time, all of that other stuff. So people, listen, you're the football player. Y'all are the football players, okay? I'm just telling y'all what y'all tell me.
Hold on.
Okay, y'all tell me this stuff. Okay?
Time out, okay? Because I understand the significance of timing in life. I'm with you and all that. But we have had millions of people talk about this Justin Fields conversation, and everybody has knocked Matt Nagy and said Matt Nagy needs to go. He needs to be fired. And Tim is giving him credit, and you're just glossing over that.
Oh, well, first of all, Matt Nagy has created a lot of question marks over his career. So 2 games does not a career make. What I have said about Nagy was this. Let's see what you do throughout the season. Let's see, the development of Justin Fields is everything, because his career is on the line in terms as a head coach, because he'll be in football for a long time. But his career as a head coach is on the line in terms of how this kid develops. Let's see what happens. And I think the first 2 weeks or so, I think they've lucked up. The last 2 weeks.
But I didn't say this was a career maker, right? And everybody needs to totally change the way we view Matt Nagy. I'm just saying, hey, it's 2 pretty good games in a row, where they were able to have pretty good game plans. I thought they controlled Justin Fields really well. They didn't put him in tough situations. And so, hey, the last 2 weeks, let's give them credit. Good job. Okay. Now continue to watch what happens the rest of the season. I agree with you. It doesn't necessarily change my macro picture of him, but the last few weeks you say, you know what? I'm going to give him credit. Good game plans, and you were successful in it.
So what Tim Tebow has admitted, Tim Tebow said 2 things that's very, very important. He said one thing and he implied another.
What?
He mentioned macro, and that implies fluidity. And I think that's important. It's fluid. How we feel about Matt Nagy today, we might not feel that way 2 weeks from now. I get where Tim is coming from. I can roll with that. Fluid. It's
or consistency, that it always comes back to Stephen A.
It does.
Death, taxes, and Stephen A's agenda, always.
Yeah.
Can they make the playoffs, yes or no? One word.
Chicago?
Yeah.
No.
Tim?
Too hard. No.
Okay. Still to come here on First. Back. So Alabama lost to A&M, their first L of the season, on a last-second field goal. Bama dropped in the poll from 1 to 5. Stephen A., you are so confident, though.
I'm not worried about Georgia. Georgia's defense is legit. I get that. They are elite. Their offense That is an entirely different matter altogether, Tim Tebow. I'm not concerned about the Bulldogs. Georgia, I understand, is elite in that regard, but against everyone but the Tide. They are number 2 for a reason. Do you want to say it with me? Roll Tide. Side. Listen. Tim Tebow knows this. Sam Acho knows this. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, this is just a bump in the road. That's all. It's a bump in the road. You know, sometimes a touch of adversity needs to come before you sit up there and you rise above the adversity and take over again. What you did was you woke up a giant.
That's a new one.
You woke up a giant. That's what you did. Okay, listen. Texas A&M didn't look too good, came in there with a 2-game losing streak. I saw Arkansas bounce them around in Big D and Jerry World, okay?
Stay focused.
I saw all of that, all right? Bottom line is Alabama will be back. And remember, I was talking about them against Georgia, and I still stand by that. Ain't no Stetson Bennett gonna knock out Alabama. It ain't gonna happen. Y'all can sit up there and talk. Listen, I know y'all playing that sound. Y'all got me today. But what happened last week when Tim Tebow was talking about how Ole Miss was gonna do something against Alabama, and what's his name? I'm saying Lane Kiffin is sitting up there talking, get your popcorn ready and all of this other. How dare he? The disrespect. And Nick Saban just said, how dare you speak about me so disrespectfully? Mind your manners. And Lane Kiffin had to fall back.
Which game are we talking about?
All I'm saying is this. Last week, you going up against an unranked team. They slept on them. That's a lesson to be learned.
Okay.
And they will learn it.
You know what I'm going to do?
And they will learn it.
Sam Acho, great to have you with us, and Tim Tebow. You know, Stephen A., when I struggle on a show or we have a bad show, things are messed up or whatever it is, in the post-show call, I'm just going to remind everybody, this is great. This is great for us. It builds resilience. Stephen A. embraces a bad rating or mistakes, and he's not going to get on any of us. Absolutely. Right, Stephen A.? Because it builds character.
It does build character. It does build character.
I love this new Stephen A.
But part of it is getting on you to remind you that it builds character. Okay. Not standing still. Not accepting just being good, Tim. Sam. It's accepting excellence and nothing less.
Tim and Sam, it's a learning lesson. It's just a learning lesson. Much ado about nothing. Do you guys have anything you want to add?
Go ahead, Sam.
I just love this side of Stephen A., right? I love the side of Stephen A. that admits when he's wrong, the side of Stephen A. that tries to say it's a learning lesson and all these things. This is beautiful, Stephen A. I get it. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to take a lesson and learn, like Alabama. Alabama had a tough loss.
He didn't say he was wrong, though. I don't think we heard that.
But he implied, like he said with you, he implied that he's wrong. If we look at the macro, the implications set forth say that I was wrong. He'd have to say it, but the implications are very clear and obvious. You were wrong, Stephen A., and we appreciate it, right? That's true leadership. True leadership admits mistakes and says, I'm sorry. They wear gator ties. That is true leadership at its finest.
Oh, they wear gator ties.
Hey, Sam, I hear you. I appreciate it, but I don't know if he admitted it. I don't think he apologized. Like, he wore a gator tie because he would have been shamed out of this world. Like, come on. Because he's honorable. But you know what? Admitting that you made a mistake, that's totally different.
So this is a great opportunity. This is a great opportunity, Stephen A. Great opportunity for you to finally admit that you were wrong.
Great platform.
I made a mistake. I thought that Alabama, you understand, because of the great Nick Saban, would never take anybody for granted. And then I watched that daggone defense give up 41 points and just ignored 140-plus yards, you know, from Brian Robinson, and ignored Jameson Williams and his all-out game, and just took it for granted. And I am sure that Nick Saban will correct the error of their ways. I am sure this team will rise up to get Alabama out of the top 5. Just drop them like that.
You know what I think Nick Saban's going to say? It's a learning lesson.
You know what I think?
It builds resilience.
You know what I think? Nick Saban, I think they need another speech from your boy. That's what I think. I think they need another speech.
There's the guy.
Are you talking about when, like, A-Rod went to speak to them, or are they going to, like, replay Kobe speech to them or one of those, you know?
Ask them what the greatest speech they ever heard was. Ask them. Ask Paul Feinbaum. Ask them, okay? They'll tell you this. And, oh, by the way, Tim Tebow, if Florida had gotten a speech from me, they would have beat Kentucky. Maybe that would have happened. How about that?
First of all, let's get back to this game, okay? The one thing that you said about Alabama that is true, I believe, is that you woke a sleeping giant. And I think you are going to have a ticked-off team that to have them, like, where they're ranked, it's ridiculous. I mean, let's be honest. Alabama is still probably the best team in college football. They lost on the road in a crazy atmosphere, maybe one of the best, if not the best atmospheres in college football that was rocking, and an A&M team that for an entire year was focused on this game. We could tell because they definitely weren't focused on the two before that. So A&M played completely different than they had all year. Jimbo Fisher, dial it up. Zach Calzada was not the same guy as the 2 weeks before. And this defense, Mike Elko, give him a lot of credit. They were dialing everything. They had been preparing for this game for an entire year, and Alabama made too many mistakes. Kickoff return for a touchdown, fumbling it on a short yardage play, throwing interceptions at the goal line. You still look at this and you say Alabama's the better team, and I still look at it compared to everybody else in the country and still think they're a better team.
Right, but it's not always about who you say is a better team. It's about the College Football Playoff Selection Committee picking the top four. And right now there are 4 teams in front of Alabama that have an opportunity to stay in front of Alabama for 2 reasons. Number one, you look at Georgia. Georgia's a dominant football team, and if Georgia goes and beats Alabama in the SEC championship, they are the number 1 team. Number 2, you go to Iowa. Well, hold on. You go to Iowa. Iowa is on a tear right now, undefeated, playing dominant defense, 16 interceptions. Then you go to an undefeated Cincinnati team who right now is ranked ahead of Alabama. And they have another test in November against a top 25 SMU team. So that's 3 teams. Then whether it's going to be Oklahoma or maybe it's going to be Ohio State, one of those teams that can go out and stay in front of Alabama. So that's number 1. And then number 2, right? Ohio State is behind them right now. I get it. But Ohio State, in a lot of people's eyes, is a better team than those teams, some of those teams in the top 4. But then number 2, Alabama's loss, like you got that one loss to an unranked A&M team. And then let's say you do go and beat Georgia, you will have a better chance. But that's not a foregone conclusion. You talk about Georgia's offense being questionable. Hold on. Georgia's offense. Hold on. Tim Tebow, you're looking at history right now. History speaking, you throwing them. Go ahead and throw that rock. Historically speaking, Alabama has consistently beaten Georgia when it counts. But this is different. This Georgia team is different with a backup quarterback, with Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett, they're over here putting up 60 points. Imagine if JT Daniels gets healthy. They got JT Daniels there for a reason, number 1. Number 2, the defense is the best we've seen since the 1930s. And Alabama has question marks on defense. And so from an Alabama team, you think I'm making this stuff up? We watched the A&M tape. We watched the Florida tape, a game that Alabama looked very suspect.
Let Tim get at you,
So from an Alabama team that is not playing well, they will be on a tear. They will win this next week against Mississippi State. When it comes to making the playoff and being in the top 4, there are definitely more questions than answers.
All right. Tim, go ahead. Get him. I got something for him, but go ahead and get him.
You know what? I just need to calm down. I need to remember, be kind right here. Sam. Just answer this question. On a neutral field, do you think Iowa, Cincinnati, or Oklahoma would be even close to Alabama right now if they played on a neutral field?
Tim Tebow, that's not the question that the College Football Selection Committee has asked.
The College Football Selection Committee, it's the 4 best teams. Yes, it is. It's the 4 best teams. And you're saying that right now, Iowa, Cincinnati, Oklahoma, and Ohio State. Ohio State got blasted at home by Oregon. Cincinnati is a very talented team, but they haven't really beat anybody. Notre Dame ain't nobody. Notre Dame almost lost to Florida State. And then let's talk about Iowa. Iowa had to come from behind at home in a rowdy environment against a Penn State team that is not fantastic. So you look at their wins and say, yeah, picks, but it's also because quarterbacks that have played them have been absolute terrible. Right?
Okay.
Like, we got to be honest about those things. On a neutral field, there's a reason. Vegas usually gets it right. On a neutral field, Vegas would have Alabama beating the brakes off of those teams.
Get him.
But check me out. But check me out. No, I was with the college football selection committee 2 weeks ago. We had a mock selection committee. We understand how they make those decisions.
Okay.
Yes, you are right. They pick the top 4 teams. I get that. But what they don't do is they don't say, well, on a neutral field, who would win and who would. No, you got to look at who's winning their division, who's winning their conference, who won the games that were in front of them.
And if A&M. Can I just say one thing?
Go ahead.
Can I just say one thing? I'm going to leave it to Tim because Tim get you and you know more college football than me. Sam Acho, let me show you how shameful, how blasphemous your words are. Cincinnati, I'm just looking at this schedule. Miami of Ohio, Murray State, Indiana, Notre Dame, okay, is there, and Temple. Really? You lost? Have you lost your mind?
Let's just finish it at this because they're literally telling me gotta go and I don't want to go. But if you say the 4 best teams and you don't put Alabama in there, you know that you're either lying to yourself or it's really not about the 4 best teams. If you want to go schedules and everything, that's fine. But let's change college football and let's put cupcakes all over the place.
But then the SEC, and I don't want to cut this off, guys, but we gotta go.
Why join it? Because you know you're going to have losses.
All right, we're going to revisit this next week. Sam Acho will be back. And
he'll be back.
Still to come on for
blessing us with the gospel now, like you playing the piano, the gospel.
You disappoint me with that take.
I must confess, I don't care that I disappointed you with this take, Marcus Spears. Keyshawn up here, right? He doing Molly's job now, trying to direct traffic away from Derek Carr. I mean, we gonna come right back to Derek Carr all season long. I'm gonna be like, come on back here. All of this talking you've been doing about the Cowboys, and they ain't even your favorites in the NFC. I completely applaud the Brooklyn Nets for taking this position. They'd give his ass away for a box of cookies if they could. I want Kansas City, if you're watching, your defense is trash. You are a walking abomination.
Wow.
They ain't as bad as UConn and UMass. They're the worst in the country.
Maybe I should become an Alabama fan.
You should. He might when he's trying. It'll do a lot for the confidence.
Whatever.
Stephen A., what's up, man? Happy 54th birthday.
Mr. Stephen A. Smith, happy birthday.
We had a lot of fun, but we're not done yet. Still plenty left to get to on this edition of First Take, including can Odell and Baker win a Super Bowl this season, the state of the Raiders locker room following Gruden's dismissal, and do not miss Stephen A's response to what Stephon Marbury said about his Kyrie take. But let's get into Thursday night football here, fellas. TB12, you know what it is. Tampa Bay with a decimated secondary traveled to Philly. Tampa survived a late Eagles comeback, capping off a dominant performance, which Teflon Tom completed 81% of his passes. With a bad thumb en route to a 28-22 win, Brady had 2 TD passes. Leonard Fournette added 2 more as Tampa solidified its first-place position in the NFC South. On the other side, the Eagles' offense struggled in their loss to the Bucs, particularly in the first half. After marching down the field in a 75-yard touchdown drive on their opening possession, they punted on 4 of their final 5 drives at the half. The lone drive that didn't result in a punt was a Jalen Hurts interception. Hurts not efficient. 12 of 26, 150 yards, 1 TD, and 1 pick. The Eagles put up
in the first half, and I put that on me first. There's no doubt our offense needs to get better and to give our team a chance to win.
I haven't executed well enough to win clearly because the ball touches my hands every play, and I enjoy that, and I like that. I'm not doing enough right now to win. I'm not doing enough to start fast. I have to be better.
Okay, Brian Clark joining us. RC, how we doing?
Good. How are y'all today?
Hold on. Before we move any further, I know I said it earlier this week, but I want to say it again. Happy birthday, my brother. You understand? My Libra brother.
Happy birthday to you too, my man.
My Libra brother. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a good week. It's a good week for the world.
I'm getting myself in good shape. Thanks to you. You one of those people that stayed on me about it. But I would like to remind everybody, I got my brother by 12 years. Hopefully I'm around to see how you look in 12 years from now, my brother. I hope that you is.
I hope so, dog. I hope so.
We can move on, Molly. We can move on.
I have no words. I'm just going to just take a moment and marinate on all of
How
that.
How about that?
Okay.
While you're getting your tan. Go ahead.
I am enjoying my tan. Right. Thank you, Stephen A. I am happy to be in California. Yeah. It has been very nice. Yes. Rye, I'll start with you. We haven't had a chance to hear from you. Do you believe in Jalen Hurts?
I do believe in Jalen Hurts. Here's the problem. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to ruin Jalen Hurts. He's accounted for 85% of the offense this year, Molly, both in the run and in the pass. Last night, you called 9 total runs for running backs. Nick Sirianni can't believe that this is the way to bring along a young QB. It's only been 10 games into him starting. And is he Justin Herbert? No. Is he Joe Burrow? No. But those guys were picked 6th overall and 1 overall. Those guys have some wide receivers with some experience, some players on the outside that we've seen make plays in this league before. The Philadelphia Eagles have none of those things. Jalen Hurts doesn't have any of those things. Jalen Hurts has a first-year head coach who's supposed to be this great play caller who isn't calling plays in that manner right now. And so when I look at Jalen Hurts and what he has been able to do and some of the statistics he has been able to produce and the leadership qualities that this dude has, I believe in him. Now, if I was a Philadelphia hater, like Stephen A., I'd probably be moaning and groaning and wishing for the days of Randall Cunningham and Donovan McNabb. But being that I'm a realist, being that I'm not a guy who forgot that I cut my teeth in journalism in Philadelphia, I understand that Jalen Hurts' problem is not Jalen Hurts, it's play calling in the Philadelphia Eagles.
You done crossed the line. You done crossed the line, my man. You done crossed the line. You know what? If you was here, I would confront you. And you, my brother, I would confront you. How dare you say that? How dare you say that to me?
You know you be hating on Philly.
Come on, that's not true. Come on, RC.
The only thing you like about Philly is Allen Iverson. That's it. If it ain't Bubba Chuck, you show Philly no love. It is not the city of brotherly love to you, because you do not treat it with any love. And you know that, Stephen A. You know you always hating on Philly.
Time out. There's a lot of love in Philadelphia.
God.
Philadelphia has been very good to me. I'm good.
Oh, my gosh.
Philadelphia is a wonderful city. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I don't know where you got that information from. It is beyond false. It is beyond false, Ryan Clark. I don't know. You got to do your homework on that. Anyway, here's the deal. Here's the deal, okay? That is not true. I would tell you this. First of all, I don't hate on these folks, but I am objective enough to point to what I see. And when it comes to Jalen Hurts, my position is consistent. When he was at Oklahoma, I had questions about him. When he was at Alabama before that, I had questions about him. When he came into the NFL, I had questions about him. And it was really the same question. I never questioned his athleticism. I never questioned his commitment to winning. I never questioned the fact that he could ball. What I said was his accuracy as a pocket passer, as a quarterback. Can he be that dude? That's what I need to see. And so I agree with you with Sirianni and a play caller. It's been awful. Miles Sanders can run with the football. You got to give him more opportunities. This brother can run with the football. He proved that last year. And the year before that, give him the damn football and let him show you what he can do. You've got Devontae Smith. You got Zach Ertz. You've got Goddard. You've got these boys. I mean, I'm like, listen, I'm looking at these guys, Quez Watkins. You're looking at these guys and I'm saying, wait a minute. Give them the opportunity. It ain't just about them. There are a lot of weapons that you got on the offensive side of the ball. But ultimately, it has to come down. And you know this better than me, RC and Sam. At some point in time, when a coach doesn't put you in the position that they should put you into, perhaps it's because we have more of a belief in that quarterback than that coach does. We've seen that a lot of times. Now, I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but that is something that should concern you when it comes to Jalen Hurts. And it ain't hating to point that out. It's factual, which is something you usually appreciate, RC. And that's what I got to say about that. Sam, the floor is yours. I'll get back to RC. And by the way, I need you to get new headphones. I need you to get new headphones. Go ahead.
You treat Philadelphia like Ben Simmons, man. Hush.
No. I treat Ben Simmons. First of all, don't tell your elders to hush. That's very rude. Secondly, I treat Ben Simmons like Ben Simmons, not Philly like Ben Simmons. And I happen to think Ben Simmons could be a superstar.
That was a pretty good line by Ryan. Come on.
My rebuttal would be this. I don't think that Jalen Hurts is the issue in Philly. I think it's really more around Nick Sirianni, like we talked about, and it's more about his mentality and his mindset. He believes in his receivers, which is great. Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, I'm all about it. He believes in that, but he believes in them too much. You have to have some kind of running game if you want to win in the NFL. Here's what I mean by that. Tom Brady, he has top statistics as a quarterback in the NFL, but Tampa Bay and Bruce Arians, they love to run the ball. They have a play called 22 double. When it's 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, it's a no back power. Well, they will get the first down. They run the ball. The LA Rams years ago, when they have this great offense, they love running the ball. You have to have some kind of running attack. You can't have 9 called runs against the team. You can't average second lowest in the league of 16. That's the issue. You put too much pressure on your quarterback, too much pressure on your receivers, and not only that, defenses can say, oh, wow, they're only going to run the ball 9 times. Let's hunt every single play. Let's go get after the quarterback. It's easier to game plan when you don't have a running game, and that's the issue. It's not Jalen Hurts. No matter who was a quarterback in Philly, if you're not calling enough runs, you're not going to have any success.
All right, just want to get this in here, guys. We got some breaking news into First Take. Zach Ertz has been traded to the Arizona Cardinals in exchange for a 5th-round pick. Sources telling ESPN. Zach Ertz now on the Cardinals. Let's get some reaction here. Stephen A., I'll start with you.
I love it. Let me tell you something. I've been talking about the Arizona Cardinals. I've been talking about what Kyler Murray does. He's completing 75% of his passes, so we know he can throw the football. Then we're sitting there and we're looking at him, and we know what he can do running the football this side of Lamar Jackson. Then you look at DeAndre Hopkins and A.J. Green and Christian Kirk, and you say Rondale Moore, and you're looking at them and saying, all right, they got some weapons. And then you just added Zach Ertz?
It was for a 5th-round pick and cornerback. I want to make sure I didn't miss saying that because 5th-round pick sounded
I'm telling you right now, this makes their offense more potent. It gives Kyler Murray an additional reliable weapon. I like Zach Ertz a lot. I think this elevates Arizona, and they're undefeated right now.
And the crazy thing is, Stephen A., Kyler Murray didn't even need more reliable weapons than he got some. I think Steve Keim should win GM of the year. Like, look at the moves that he's making. The great teams that want to win, they keep on getting better even when they're strong. We saw Kansas City do that a few years back. Last thing I'll say, after the game, we all saw that video of Zach Ertz getting emotional in the locker room. Nobody knew what happened. Well, now we know he's going to a contender. Congratulations, Zach Ertz. I'm proud of you. Happy for you.
Man, you know that's bad when you crying because you get to get out of Philly. That's where the Philadelphia Eagles are, and that's where that city is. That man is crying because he gets to leave. I mean, when you think about the Arizona Cardinals and the way that they've played already this season, the way the defense has progressed with the addition of J.J. Watt, and now you add Zach Ertz to an offense that truly doesn't even need him, but to a quarterback that's now learning to spread the ball around when DeAndre Hopkins is doubled. I mean, this team is going to be troubled throughout the season. The only thing to derail them is Cliff Kingsbury, and we'll see how he adjusts as the season goes along.
Absolutely. All right, we'll leave it there. Still plenty more to come here on First Take. A lot of football to get into. And also, Stephen A. having some words about his... It's been a season to forget for Odell Beckham so far. Just 9 catches for 124 yards. Stephen A., yesterday you called for the Browns to trade Odell Beckham Jr. shortly after he spoke to the media and admitted he's not happy. Here's OBJ.
It sucks. At the end of the day, losing sucks, period. I can't sit there and lie like I don't want the ball. Like I tell you, every time I get up here, they don't pay James Harden for defense. You know what I mean? He's a shooter. Like I feel like I'm a shooter. You know.
Ryan, talk to me. Do you think Odell and Baker can win a Super Bowl together?
I do. I do. But I mean, it's not just about Odell and Baker, right? It's about this team as a whole. And in some of the other comments that Odell made, he did say, you know, James Harden is a shooter. You know, James Harden has to shoot the ball, and he feels like he's a shooter, and he wants to get the ball. But he did ultimately talk about winning. He did ultimately talk about he understands the way the Cleveland Browns play offense. And you mentioned some of the statistics, Molly, and when you just listen to the statistics, you're like, oh, Odell ain't doing crap. But then you go back and you watch the film of the Minnesota Vikings, and you realize he's wide open in the end zone on a whip route double move that Baker Mayfield misses him on. He beats Cam Dantzler down the sideline, and Baker Mayfield throws it at the back of Dantzler's helmet. He also has a switch route late in the game in which he's wide open, and Baker throws it toward the sideline instead of up the field. And so there were opportunities to hit him. And then in the Los Angeles Chargers game, he just wasn't targeted very often. But when you watch Odell Beckham Jr., he still has juice. he's still a dude that beats one-on-one coverage consistently. Go back to the Chicago Bears game where I think Odell was like 5 for 77. He also had a reverse for that he picked up a first down on. That's the way that Odell Beckham should be used. He should be a part of the offense, not the offense. He should be allowed to eat, but he doesn't have to be force-fed. And I think if Baker Mayfield can get that in his head, if they can figure out that chemistry and that understanding in a consistent way, then it makes this team better. But it is going to be on Baker to play better than he has the last 3 weeks, or it doesn't matter if they have Odell Beckham Jr., Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, and Terrell Owens. This team won't win a Super Bowl, not because of Odell and Baker, just because of Baker.
RC, I'll defer to your judgment because I appreciate your breakdown, and I know how much you know football. But I'm going to ask you a question that's highly sensitive, but a Super Bowl champion such as yourself is qualified to answer. I understand when two guys are not on the same page and, you know, bad passes are thrown, wrong routes are ran, all of this other stuff. Have you ever seen a star caliber wide receiver ignored this much by his quarterback?
See, Stephen A., I don't want to give Baker that because I think Baker goes through an internal battle with dealing with Odell Beckham Jr. the right way. I think he loves Odell Beckham Jr. If you watch Baker Mayfield, he seems like he wants to be liked. I feel like when he doesn't get Odell the ball enough, he forces it to him. And then after forcing the football to him against Minnesota, he said, I forced it to him too much. I didn't play well. Let me not look for him enough. And so I think this is something that Baker Mayfield has been dealing with since Odell Beckham Jr. got there, and he just still haven't figured it out.
The reason I'm asking you that question is because, you know, obviously, you know, I brought up the word sabotage, and I felt that way. And I want to make sure I'm clear about what I'm saying. I don't think that Baker Mayfield hates Odell Beckham Jr. or he's not friendly, he doesn't care about him. I'm not trying. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, like I said to Tim Tebow in hour number one, there are people who want to win at all costs, and then there are people who want to win their way. And when I think about Odell Beckham Jr. and I think about how big time he is, not just as a talent, but the level of attention that he draws, I think about what Cleveland was like without him last year and how smooth things seem to be for Baker Mayfield. And then I get to this season and I say, you know what? If Odell Beckham Jr. is out on that field and that brother is doing his thing and he's drawing that level of attention because he's catching touchdowns and everybody's looking at him and he's celebrating and he's dancing and he's doing whatever it is that he's doing and the attention is drawn to him and away from Baker Mayfield, is it possible and is it plausible that that may be something that Baker Mayfield doesn't necessarily like? Because I'm looking at a guy in Odell Beckham Jr. If you get this brother, what he can do after the catch can also make a quarterback look good. He can turn a 5-yard pass into a 70-yard gain or a 70-yard TD. He's that electrifying of a talent when he's healthy. And it just boggles my mind when I look at the maturation that has taken place within Baker Mayfield, who has clearly gotten better and better and better and more focused, and they're winning football games. And he no longer has more progressive commercials that wins. Now it's flipped around the right way, and all of this stuff is going on. But somehow, some way, while you've learned to do everything else right, the hiccup in your game is that you're missing Odell Beckham Jr. while he's open. This is the kind of stuff that I don't expect to see or hear from somebody. And that's where I'm going with this. I don't know the reason why. I don't know Baker Mayfield. I'm not trying to cast any aspersions on his character in terms of him having some beef with Odell. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is somewhere along the line, it makes absolutely no sense that would be the guy that you miss of all people that you're on the field with. That would be the guy you miss. I have a hard time accepting that.
Yeah, it seems extremely strange, but I'm with you. I don't think that's about Baker Mayfield's character. I don't think it's about Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham Jr. not getting along. I don't even know if it's about Baker wanting a certain level of attention, because you get attention when you make big plays. You get attention when you win, and there's no person on that team more capable of making big plays than Odell Beckham Jr. It's just been a strange 2.5 years for Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham Jr., and they still haven't found the answer. What we do know is the statistics say that Baker Mayfield is better when Odell Beckham Jr. is not on the field. And that's strange to me, that you can have better statistics when one of the best players at his position isn't on the field, as opposed to when he's not.
Listen, it certainly would be electric if they could get some chemistry going, that's for sure. All right, we're going to keep it moving here because, RC, there's a lot of things we want to get your take on. Still to come, this. John Gruden's played a great series that ended with LA winning on this check swing called Strike 3. Stephen A., was this a swing?
No, it was not. And it's a shame that such a matchup had to end like that. They were only down 1 run. One swing could have actually won the game. I'm happy the Dodgers won, but damn, it shouldn't have ended like that.
Stephen A., LeBron and his all-star Laker cast went 0-6 in the preseason. Yes, I'm talking preseason. Are you concerned about LA?
Not even a little bit. This is LeBron James we're talking about here. A guy that's been to 10 NBA Finals in his career. And we're going to measure him by the preseason. Let's stop that nonsense. They're a veteran squad playing together. It'll take them a few months, but they'll be fine, and they damn sure shouldn't be concerned about anything in the preseason.
The king. RC, the Cowboys only have 1 loss and are favored to win versus the Patriots this weekend. Should Stephen A. be nervous about his Cowboys against Bill Belichick?
Absolutely. Southern Stephen A. should be shaking in his boots. I don't know what type of boots you wear when you make that Cowboy much money, boots. But he should be shaking in them. Stephen A. already knows. He's already prepping. That's the reason he brought the playmaker on for Monday, because he's waiting for the playoffs when the Dallas Cowboys are still making plays, and the playmaker is going to be sweating every single Monday. And Stephen A. is going to have that little cigar, and he's not going to be able to light it. He's not going to be able to have that Southern drawl, because I feel like this year that anything can happen will not happen to the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are a team that is primed and ready to be in the divisional playoffs, in the divisional playoff rounds, the NFC championship rounds, and maybe even the Super Bowl. So Stephen A., I don't know what you're going to do, but get your hat ready, get your stogie ready, get your boots ready, because it's going to be a long, long year for Southern Stephen A.
Dallas Cowboys ain't going to no damn Super Bowl. And you ain't going to sit up there on national television and say that they will. But I will tell you this. I reckon you have a point, buddy. I reckon you have a point. I gotta admit, buddy, those Dallas Cowboys look a little bit impressive right now. Got me a little bit nervous, but I don't expect it to last. They will fall when it's time. I'm not gonna worry about it just yet, but I am getting a little bit nervous. I'll admit that.
All right. The Cowboys have not beat the Patriots since 1990.
No, they'll win this weekend.
All right. Just throwing out that stat. I thought it was a good stat.
Yeah.
RC, this is for you, though. The Raiders have had a long week since John Gruden resigned for his leaked emails. Rich Bisaccia takes over as head coach, and the Raiders get set to take on the Broncos on Sunday. Ryan, you've been in locker rooms, right? You've won Super Bowls. You understand the situation. What would you say to the Raiders players?
I think it doesn't matter who takes over as head coach. It doesn't matter what the outside noise is. This is a moment that you get to unite everyone in that locker room. The locker room is a special place. I don't know, if you've ever been in a football locker room, there is no coaches in there. There is no trainers. There is no equipment managers that have lockers. It's only players. And usually what happens in whether it's America or society or with a team is that we can't all be united on everything. Right? There's always this division or this chasm between the people that are offended, those who can be empathetic, those who can side with them, those who can feel what they feel. Well, in this, everybody was insulted. It doesn't matter who you are in that building. There was something in those emails. There was something about the visceral of those words that touched you. And so now if I'm an African-American player in that locker room, if I'm a leader in that locker room, I can throw my arms around Carl Nassib and say, man, I understand what you're going through. What you are going through, my people, myself, we have heard those insults. We have heard those slurs, and we are here with you. It doesn't matter what the executives say. It doesn't matter what the head coach says. This is about us. It's about us, our efforts, our energies, our works that we put into winning football games, that we put into dispelling that we can be broken down by anybody's hate, by anybody's evil, by anyone's words. Because see, what this did was this allowed the world to see that people like this still exist. This allowed the world to see that football and winning isn't the great equalizer, because it's not. It's one thing to work with people. It's another thing to have people work for you. John Gruden, his entire life, had people work for him. These dudes on this team, they work with each other. They work together. They are family. They are brothers. This is an opportunity to show that you, as a family, as a brotherhood, know how to unite when it's important. That for the cheerleaders who were insulted, that for the marketing directors who were insulted, that for anybody in the LGBTQ community that was insulted, that we know how to fix this. We fix this by coming together. We fix this by having one another's backs. And the way you show that in football is by winning. The way you show that in football is by your energy, by your hustle, by your commitment. So what I'm telling my teammates is we're going to commit to one another. Right? We're going to put our efforts into one another. We're going to support one another. And on Sundays, when the football is kicked off, we're going to ride for one another. Because when one brother makes a play, we all make a play. And that's what the Las Vegas Raiders are now.
Ryan, I don't disagree with anything that you just said. I agree with you 1,000%. But I want to also take it to another level from a macro perspective. Just about what we had to endure with the whole John Gruden situation this week. And I saw Randy Moss on NFL Countdown Sunday, damn near reduced to tears because of not just what John Gruden did, but how exhausted folks are from having to deal with the stuff that we had to deal with. And I come from a different cloth in this respect, Ryan. I totally agree and get where Randy Moss rather is coming from, just like I got where you're coming from, because it does get tiring. It does get exhausting or whatever. Then I remind ourselves, and I can't speak to members of the gay community. They can speak for themselves because they know what they endure. But I can speak as a black man. What we've endured, what we've been through, what our ancestors have been through, and what we had to endure in order to get to this point. And there's a level of intestinal resolve that we have to have, because you have to understand that at the end of the day, ultimately, we're covering the world of sports. And what is one competitor after another trying to do to their adversary? They're trying to break them. They're trying to break them up here. They're trying to break them here. That's what they're trying to do. And you usually win when you don't let that happen. And so my message to everybody would be, I know the world is jacked up sometimes because we got some jacked up people in the world whose hearts simply are not in the right place. And that's incredibly unfortunate. But how we overcome them is not just because we come together. It's not just because we call out the wrong that people do. It's because we've got a level of intestinal resolve that it reminds them, you will not break me. You will not break Ryan. You will not break Randy Moss. You will not break any of us. We're going to keep on coming, no matter what. Because at the end of the day, when your spirit is right and your soul is right and is buffered by a level of intestinal fortitude that shows you can't be broken, guess who gets exhausted? They will. They will. And if you call NASA or anybody else, that you're one of those female officials that John Gruden was alluding to or whatever, women have been through an awful lot too. You know this, okay? Don't let them break you. Strengthen yourself, your inner intestinal resolve, and you know what? You march forward and you mow them down. That's what you do. No matter how they try to come at you, that's what you do. You keep on moving forward. You make them retreat. And that's what we're really talking about here. And I just want to make sure everybody doesn't forget that.
Absolutely. So strong, Stephen A. So strong. When we come back here on First Take, guys, don't miss Stephen A's response to Stephon Marbury. That is next. And don't miss Monday's show where Stephen A goes toe-to-toe with Kyrie Irving, and his vaccination status have been a big topic of discussion in sports. And on this show, Stephen A., you have been very strong in your condemnation of him. And yesterday, former NBA All-Star Stephon Marbury posted a video of himself going at you for that notion. Here it is.
It's sad to hear Stephen A. Smith talk about Kyrie Irving the way how he's talking about him, calling him selfish. This man has done so much stuff for human beings and giving back and trying to help so many different people, all different cultures, not just black people. This is what happens when you have people like this guy who's animated, not realistic about what it is that he speaks and talks about. He played a little bit of basketball, but come on, serious? You letting this guy talk to you about sports? This guy never got hit in a football game. He never swung a bat, and this is the person who they have speaking and talking about what's going on in sports. Man, y'all need to defund his voice.
All right, Stephen A., I will give you the floor to respond to that.
Thank you. Give me the camera, please. First of all, I'm not going to go off about Stephon Marbury. We are here. We give our opinions every day. Stephon Marbury is a brother out of Brooklyn, New York, who could ball. I covered him in Lincoln High School. I knew him. I knew his brothers to a lesser degree, his wonderful parents as well. I'm not going to insult Stephon Marbury. I will say Stephon Marbury has had a problem with me since 2009 because we thought he was a bit bizarre when he was eating Vaseline, literally on video, like it was a bunch of cheeseburgers or something, like gobbling Vaseline, crying. He later admitted he was depressed and what have you. And then obviously because of that, the level of awareness with, issues of mental health came in the fold. And so that's nothing to joke about or to be disrespectful about. As it pertains to him and his support of Kyrie Irving, I can understand it. Stephon Marbury was on 5 different NBA teams. Stephon Marbury was somebody that was considered an incredible, tremendous talent who had leadership issues when he was in the NBA. And so it seems more than apropos that he would come to the support of a Kyrie Irving. Here's my point about Kyrie Irving that I would ask Stephon Marbury and them to remember. And by the way, you don't have to bring up the fact that I balled because I couldn't shine Stephon Marbury's shoes as a basketball player. When they were talking about Felipe Lopez and all of that stuff, Stephon Marbury was the big-time player out of New York City. He was sensational. And Kyrie Irving is sensational. I don't even belong in the mention in the same breath as them. I'm a journalist, a reporter, a commentator. That's where my stuff lies. Not as a ball player. I don't even deserve to be mentioned in the same breath as y'all. But I'm a grown ass man, and I'm a black man. And I've watched people like yourself in these positions where you can be leaders and you elect to take a pass. And that is what I am accusing Kyrie Irving of doing. And let's go down the list. You're in Cleveland. You're playing with the great LeBron James. You can't get along with him. You decide to ask out of it. You transfer to Boston because you threatened Cleveland that you would not be willing to play if they didn't move you. You go to Boston, and what do? They go to the finals they go to the Eastern Conference Finals without you because you get hurt. You come back the next year and things are a bit discombobulated. You apologize to LeBron James, saying that you didn't realize what he was talking about at the time because there was a leadership issue. Okay, you ultimately end up departing out of Boston. After promising Boston fans I would stay there, okay, if you'll have me, and then you get up and leave. You end up going to Brooklyn. You're there the first year because KD ain't with you because he tears his Achilles. You only play 20 games. Then the next year you come and you get hurt right before the season is halted because of a pandemic. During the summertime before play was to be resumed, you're encouraging players to put themselves in a position where billions of dollars would cost them billions of dollars if they were to sit up there and not play in the bubble, because the players, the NBA owners would have ripped up the CBA agreement because they were losing so much money. It would have rendered all contracts null and void, and then you would have had to start all over. You go public with that proclamation without talking to CP3 and the leadership for the NBA Players Association. You go out on your own. Then after that, you're gone for 10 months. I'm talking about Kyrie Irving, obviously. You're gone for 10 months. And in that 10-month span, once you come back, you play 7 games over a 2-week period and then say, I need a break for personal reasons. And then now here we are with the vaccine. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm vaccinated, but I was nervous about it too. Okay? I understand Kyrie's reservations. But when you go to an ICU unit and you see a bunch of black people in there, you understand that has been infected by the virus. When you think about pre-existing conditions that have plagued our community and what have you, and you see black people dying, you take the position that I think I took. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. But my point is, you left Brooklyn hanging. So KD is there because of you, and James Harden is there to a degree because of you. But you're not there with them. And I'm saying, once again, this points to leadership. And last time I checked, that makes me disqualified because I've taken that position. It makes me disqualified to talk about this. Stephon Marbury, I was a sports writer when you were in high school. You didn't say anything about me then. If Stephon Marbury has such a problem with my voice, why did you use my voice prominently on your own documentary, The Kid Out of Coney Island, that was aired on Netflix? Go look at Stephon Marbury's documentary and who's all over it. Why did you have these people come interviewing me about you and about how great you were if suddenly my voice was a problem? You see the inconsistency? You messing with the wrong brother, my brother. I'm going to say what it is, and I mean what I say. I ain't selling out. I'm looking out. The fact of the matter is, Kyrie Irving has put himself in a position where we get to question his leadership based on the multitude of decisions that he has made. Yeah. It doesn't make him a bad person, because he's not. It doesn't get us to ignore his philanthropy, because we shouldn't. He's a beautiful person whose heart's in the right place, who's done a lot of great things for a lot of great people. But on this particular issue, I believe he's wrong. If you disagree with me, I respect that. Whether you in China or New York or anywhere in between, you have a right to voice your opinion. Right. But don't act like just because I didn't play the game on your level that I don't get to say this about Kyrie.
Let's leave it there. And I just want to say one thing. We really have to get in a break. But as a woman, and obviously I'm not a part of this conversation between you and Stephon Marbury, when we talk about people being disqualified, then no women would really be in sports. Then I could have never worked at NFL Network or cover, because we're not taking hits, we're not wearing pads. So in terms of being disqualified, there would be no women.
Well,
but I just want you to realize, if we're saying you haven't put on the pads, you hadn't.
He just wants to disqualify me because he doesn't agree with what I'm saying. And Kyrie Irving is trying to paint himself as a victim when this is about his leadership.
Part of the disqualification was because you didn't play at that level. So I'm saying, so what does it mean for all females in sports then?
By the way, very bad news.
We didn't play in the NBA or the NFL. Do you get what I'm saying?
Very bad news for y'all. I got 5 years to go on my deal, and I'm going to be on NBA Countdown, and I'm going to be here. I know you might not like it, Stephon Marbury. You're going to have to deal with that.
Let's leave it there. Lots of HBCU football action this weekend. Here's just a few matchups. Deion Sanders' Jackson State team takes on Alabama State, and the Nissan Heisman House stops in the Volunteer State as Tennessee Tech takes on Coach Eddie George in Tennessee State. And as always, the bands are ready to put on a show. Enjoy the games. So some great games this weekend, but perhaps no better one than the Cardinals versus the Browns. Stephen A. and RC with a closer look at that game. Stay tuned. It's that time of the week, cue the music, where your brains get bigger and hopefully your wallets get fatter. It's Molly's Deal, gentlemen. Are we ready? Ryan, you're up first. More passing yards on Sunday, Baker or Kyler?
Kyler Murray, absolutely, because if you're Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns, you're going to run the football. Kyler Murray's going to throw this football all around the field with all of those skill weapons. More yards for Kyler.
Absolutely, easy money. Stephen A., your guy, Trayvon Diggs, simply put, will he have a pick on Sunday versus Mac Jones, yes or no?
Yeah, probably.
Obviously.
Probably.
Keeping the streak alive. He's been something special. That dig, Stephen A. He's a bright spot.
Yeah, he's my defensive player of the year thus far.
Yeah, RC, I know you love that.
All right, RC, back to
you. Will Trevor Lawrence throw 2 or more TDs versus the other Florida team, the Dolphins?
No, he will not. Trevor Lawrence will not throw 2 or more TDs. He is playing better, but he ain't ready for that prime time yet. No more than 1.
All right, Stephen A., back to you. One of your teams again. More passing yards Sunday Night Football, Big Ben or Geno Smith?
Big Ben. He better
be
throw
Big
more
Ben.
yards than Geno Smith. He better throw more yards than Geno Smith.
What if they run the ball, Stephen A.? What if they run the ball?
If he don't throw more yards than Geno Smith, we got a problem.
Lastly,
we got a problem.
RC, we end with you. This seems like a trick question. Will Josh Allen throw for 300-plus yards versus the Titans on Monday Night Football?
You know what? He will not. I say Josh Allen throws for in between 250 and 280. He does not get to 300, but the Bills still win.
I beg to differ on that one, RC. All right, that'll do it for us. Stephen A.,
yes.
Tell me this. Do you have the Browns or the Cardinals?
I'm going with the Cardinals to win this game. I think that Kyler Murray's going to put on the show. It's going to be tough. Cleveland's no joke, but I think they're going to squeeze it out.
RC's with it. Co-signing. All right, everybody, have a fabulous